Welcome to the Fit to Talk podcast.
You just found the #1 health and fitness podcast for performers. And you're listening to a guest episode during which we discuss the realities of a career in the performing arts with people who are fit to talk about them.
Yes. And if you like what we do, please leave us a review, preferably 5-star review, or on Spotify, click that follow button.
Also, if you like our meaningful, helpful, and accurate information and you'd like to be coached by us, then perhaps Fit to Perform is for you.
Yeah, you can find out more information over on our Instagram, Fit to Perform West End, or on our website, fit-2.co.uk.
Moving on, we have an incredible guest for you today.
Incredible. Yes, he is incredible. And I have just finished working with him on Time Traveller's Wife as cover Henry.
The main guy, if you don't know.
The main guy. And he was phenomenal when he went on. He's also been Jay Osmond in the Osmonds.
Recent. Yeah.
He's understudied Elder Price in the Book of Mormon. He did, in fact, over 200 shows.
Casual.
As Elder Price. What a beast of a role.
Yeah.
He's also done his own one-man show. He's a stand-up comic. He's been in Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yes.
He's done all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Did Hairspray even at Kilworth House.
Oh, yeah.
Great place. Played Lincoln Larkin.
He did. Yeah. There was even a secret opera on his CV. I forgot to put on this.
Oh, the secret opera.
The secret opera. Well, on that note, let's have enough of us speaking and let's move on to a wonderful guest. Please enjoy the fantastically fabulous full name, Alexander Lodge. We should let people know, in case they don't know, that you two know each other.
We do indeed. We've just spent the last 6 months together-ish.
What a whirlwind.
What a whirlwind.
Doing Time Traveller's Wife.
Yes.
Which is the show that you're speaking about and the situation that you are describing, right? Finding yourselves in that place where the show was closing earlier than anticipated.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly go, all my plans. And
What now?
When you're on a long job, like for most people, the first 3 months, they'll go, I'm going to enjoy this a bit and then I'll save.
Mate, that was exactly it. And because I got married, the first week of rehearsals for Time Travellers was the week of my wedding. So I turned up on day one and did like a, hello, nice to meet you. I'll see you in a week.
Yeah.
And then ran off to Spain to go and get married. And, well, that was a whole debacle in itself because you'll remember this. I was sat there. We were doing like who's ours, day one. I'm not really thinking about anything to do with the show because I've got a suitcase. I've got my suits. I've got my groomsmen outfits, everything in a suitcase in the corner for my own wedding. And we're sat there. I get a text from lovely Lucy Jones saying, oh my God, babe, just seen the news. Don't worry, we'll sort it out. And I go,
sorry, I haven't seen the news. Yeah.
What? And it's the day they closed all of the UK's airspace completely. You couldn't get a flight in or out because there was an IT glitch in the air traffic control system. So I was sat there going, right, I get married tomorrow and I'm sat in, well, it wasn't Jerwood Space, it was Rombear,
yeah.
on the South Bank going, I need to be in the south of Spain this time tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they've closed the airspace and no one in, no one out. Cool. So we were looking at me going to get a Eurostar to Paris and then fly from Paris down to Malaga. It was mental. When I say I left that rehearsal room going, I'm just going to go to Gatwick and see what's going on. And it's like nothing I'd ever seen.
Wow.
Like everyone kicking off. And you know the people, you know the Sharons going, right, well, I want to talk to, this is ridiculous. Customer service, EasyJet. We are never flying EasyJet again. Go, Sharon, look up. Do you see anything flying? No.
It's not EasyJet's fault.
I think for once we can let Ryanair and EasyJet off the hook here. I don't think they are the ones stopping us leaving the country right now.
There's plenty of other hooks for them.
I told you, John, we should have gone from Heathrow. Nothing going out of Heathrow either, Sharon. But just full of those people.
Yeah.
It was the last week of the summer holidays, so families and kids everywhere. And that's when I really feel for parents in those situations. You've got young kids, how the iPad's already died, you've got nowhere to charge them. When I say I walked into Gatwick, got off the train, just as they closed the departures doors. So, you get to have just the general departure area. No one was allowed to go through security to even get to the lounges and like the departure area. Everyone was just being held in the arrivals hall because there was nowhere physically for anyone to go. Flights had been stopped from like 8 a.m. So all those passengers that had already checked in, already gone through security, they're sat the other side, got people in security waiting to go through, everyone in the arrivals hall. They eventually closed the departure arrivals hall door. So people then were just queuing up outside on the street because you were being told by your airline to still go to Gatwick. It was nothing like I'd ever seen. You're waiting this line with your Sharon and your Johns to talk to someone from EasyJet that said, yeah, all flights the rest of the day cancelled. Your best bet is to rebook onto the next available flight. So great. When's the next available flight? Friday.
Yeah, good.
Because, of course, they've all seized the rooms. Luckily, as I was sat there in rehearsals, I just booked the next day, the first flight out, which was 5 a.m. I just booked it, put it on a credit card. Don't worry about it. As long as there's a flight going to Malaga, I'll be fine. I also then booked another one with a different airline thinking, if EasyJet are like completely swamped with rebooks and they have to cancel planes and all of that, book another one with another airline just in case it's like a backup. So I paid that on a credit card. Then my original flight hadn't actually been cancelled. It had been delayed till the next morning. So I was going, right, I've got 3 flights, all meant to be taking off. One at 5 a.m., one at 6 a.m., one at 7 a.m. As long as one of them fucking goes, I'll get to my wedding. Fine, that's the plan. So I'm going to stay at Gatwick that night. So we look online. Of course, all the hotels sold out. Premier Inn, done. Holiday Inn, done. Luckily, my wife is like a freelance travel agent as well as an actress. Destination Dreams, run by Becca Stenhouse, now Becca Lodge. If anyone wants a holiday, look her up. Little plug. And she went online to one of these companies that she gets supplies to. Oh, great, I can get you a room at the Hilton. Go now, it's booked, paid for, brilliant, walk in. So when I say the Hilton lobby is carnage, you've got all that because the airlines have seized all the rooms to put up passengers and stranded pilots and air crews, cabin crew and things. So they're all being given the room. So I eventually get to the desk and say, "Oh, hello, I've booked a room on Holiday Extras. This is the name." "Oh, sorry, Mr. Lodge, we don't appear to have you booked in. When was it booked?" I said, "Probably about 40 minutes ago." "Let me just go and have a look in the back." So I don't know what he was looking in the back for. I'm assuming another system or something. And he came back and bless him, he looked white as a sheet because by this point I told him, I'm getting married tomorrow, and said, yeah, we told Holiday Extras there were no more rooms available at 1 p.m. today. So they've essentially sold you a hotel room that doesn't exist.
Good.
And I say that's the one moment in this entire saga where I'd actually kept relatively calm and cool, like, okay, no, it's fine, until that point. And when I thought I had my plan in place and all my ducks in a row and I'll just get in this hotel room and shower and sleep, when he then told me there was no room, that's the one moment I just broke and burst into tears saying, I can't believe this is what's happening. Because, of course, you plan your wedding, then you accept a job that clashes, and you work everything out to work around it. My one biggest fear was that I had a cancelled flight or something the day before the wedding. What happened? Not only was my flight delayed / cancelled, there was nowhere else you could go to even get anywhere. So this poor guy, bless him, he saw me just well up. And I think they were only meant to be putting up something like, I think it was Lufthansa and Norwegian passengers, the Hilton, that was their dedicated people they were putting up. And he looked at me and said, "Wait there, don't say a word." He went over to the printer, printed something out. It said it was like an EasyJet passenger form. He said, "Fill this out." He was looking around. His manager was coming over. He's like, "Just fill it out quickly, just passport details, quickly, just write your name." It doesn't matter. Took it back, typed a thing, gave me a room key. He's like, "Second floor, this conversation didn't happen. You're not here." Ripped it up and put it straight in the bin. So essentially just sent me off and said, "This never happened," and just shoved me in a room. When I say I got up to this room, it was a massive bloody suite. And it was one of the nicest hotel rooms I think I've ever had. So like, again, the kindness of a stranger in a moment of almost mild despair, very middle-class despair, but despair of going, I can't get to my wedding. And eventually I woke up, I only had about 3 hours sleep. The 5 a.m. flight that I booked as the emergency flight ended up going. The one on the second airline got cancelled and my original flight got cancelled. So thank God, when I was even just still in the rehearsal room before lunch, I'd booked that flight the next day, because if not, I wouldn't have made it, because they managed to get the first couple of flights out of the day. Then at around 8 a.m. on the second day, they cancelled all the flights the rest of the day as well. So those 2 days were carnage. And me and Will Haswell, a good mate of mine and Bobby's, he was on the same flight as me by sheer coincidence. And we're so lucky that flight went. People will know of Shawnee Parkins. Shawn Parkins was at my wedding. He went through 4 countries in, I think it was 24 hours to make it to my wedding. I think I had to do London to Dublin, Dublin to Portugal, and then Portugal to Malaga. So I think he was in the UK, Ireland, Portugal and Spain just to
Wow.
get there.
Not
That's
the usual
impressive.
cruise route, is it?
Well, I've heard P&O are expanding.
Yeah, at that point, a ferry sounds pretty good, doesn't
Yeah.
it? We should jump back a little bit, I suppose. First of all, Liar Liar, which we know you've listened to the podcast.
Oh,
so
yes, I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller.
we'll take this. So we're hoping that at some point during this, you'll be able to slip in a lie.
100%.
And then, of course, if you're listening to this episode and it's your first episode, then at the end of the episode, Bobby and I will try and guess what we think the lie has been. And Alex will then inform us whether we were successful or not,
Whoa.
or perhaps whether he's forgotten to tell a lie. We will see.
I think he's going to tell a lie.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, I'll get in several. I'll try.
Several.
Not several. I don't want
That
options.
feels stressful.
That would just make us feel awful
Yeah.
when we don't get any. Right. So, how does the story of your life begin?
Well, my parents, Karen and David, Kaz and Dave, great couple of lads, they met on a racing yard in Newmarket, which is a very famous horse racing town. And they got together, got married, had 2 kids. I popped out in 1993. I've got an older sister, Kelly, big up Kels. And my parents separated when I was 18 months old, so my mum moved up to be near my grandparents for help with childcare and stuff, and they were up in northeast Lincolnshire because my granddad, he was evacuated there during the Second World War. So he went up there, kind of built a life up there, then came back to London and things, but eventually when he got older and retired, when I want to go and live up there. So the family were up there, and we were in a small little town just outside Grimsby. A place so lovely it's got Grim in the title. And yeah, that's where it all kind of began for me. I was just a normal kind of working class lad from northeast Lincolnshire that was never particularly sporty, was never particularly good at anything, but was a very extroverted introvert as a child, so was sent to a stagecoach to burn off some energy. And I think that's kind of where it started from there. And then weirdly, being cast as the Pharaoh in Joseph at my local stagecoach was the first time I think I kind of went, oh, quite like this lot.
Playing Elvis. I mean the Pharaoh. Yeah.
I was Jason Donovan. But no, I was older. No,
I was Jason Donovan playing the Pharaoh, who is Elvis in Joseph, but also Jason Donovan.
And I was 8 years old. And all I remember about that is I think there's some picture somewhere of with black face paint drew on a weird 90s goatee.
Oh,
I'll try and find
that's
out.
a choice.
But it's painted on like this, which is not very Elvis. Very circa Tom Jones sex bomb era, but on an 8-year-old.
Great era.
Yeah.
In a leather jacket. And then I'm coming back. I've not thought about this for years. And then, because I'll probably move on to this in a bit, but I could never sing. I could not sing as a kid and kind of going into my teenage years. And because I couldn't sing, the singing teacher who was MDing played and sang the song for me whilst I mimed it.
Oh my God.
So you've got an 8-year-old going, well, Joseph, you can do this. And then the voice of, well, I was wandering along about it, from the singing teacher in the corner. I really hope there's video footage of that somewhere. I've got pictures. I don't think there's video. If I find it, I will send it to you.
That sounds fantastic.
Because it is strong.
I want that. I want to see that.
I need to see the goatee. The goatee I'm particularly sold on.
So when did that change then? Because obviously,
the goatee?
No, still got it. No, so you say you couldn't sing at that point. Obviously, at some point, that changed.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It was so... I'll take you through my youth theatre career. I then moved to the kind of more older youth theatre-y thing. You kind of, each town has one. There's one for the younger kids, and then you get to your teenage youth theatre where everyone's 15 and older and actually starting to take it a little bit more seriously. And that came about because this new company was doing a production of Les Mis School Edition. Do you want to be in Les Mis as a stagey 13-year-old? Yes, I do. So I go along and join this new theatre that they kind of created, youth theatre they created for it. And I was still never really a singer. So that's where my kind of love of comedy came in, because I was always your character comedy parts that didn't ever really need to be able to sing very much. So I gave an angel in Rent. I gave a Thénardier in Les Miserables. I gave a Joe Casey in our house, but
Nice.
Joe was never really a singer's part. And I kind of grew up doing those kind of charactery, acty parts, which is where I think I kind of got my acting chops first, really, before anything else. Some people come in as I love singing or they love dancing. For me, it was always on the acting side. And then I was kind of sent to a local singing teacher who was amazing. He was an ex-opera singer who really just started working with me, and I was really reticent to it because it's something I wasn't good at. So as a teenager, if you're not good at it, you don't want to know about it because it's already vulnerable. You're already vulnerable enough at that kind of very formative years. And then weirdly, there was another theatre group in the town that was doing Jesus Christ Superstar. And for some reason, I found myself auditioning for Jesus at the age of like 17, 18. And I went, I can't. By this point, I got a bit better. I was in tune by now, and then weirdly got cast, and something just kind of clicked between the age of 17 and 18. Something hit this stupidly high tenor range that I'd never had before. Just arrived, and I had no control over it. I didn't know what I was doing with it, but it was there. And I found some old stuff of that a couple of years ago. So, oh God, like that just came out of nowhere. And that was the year that I was auditioning for colleges because I was thinking I don't really know what to do here. I love musicals, but singing's kind of quite a big part of that. And don't get me wrong, I'd worked damn hard with my teacher, and I have so many angels, I think, I call them angels in my life, that people that should have given up on me several times but didn't, like my old dance teacher, my singing teacher, and my piano teacher from when I was like a teenager. I was just a bit of a dick of a teenager. I didn't really commit myself very much. I was rude. I was weirdly arrogant for someone so insecure. I wasn't overly pleasant to them, but they never gave up on me when they should have done. So my teacher worked me damn hard, and it eventually paid off. And then the year I was applying for colleges, I took Love Changes Everything and Maria, my two audition songs.
Love Changes Everything.
So the story about that, so talking about my parents, my dad was kind of maybe how I got my love of theatre, really. He would always take my mum out to shows and stuff in the West End when they were still together and still married. And one of the first shows he took my mum to as a date was Aspects of Love, starring Michael Ball in the Prince of Wales Theatre, singing Love Changes Everything. And then she said, oh, if I ever have a son, after seeing that show, if I ever have a son, she loved the show, loved the song, and loved the character Michael Ball played that was called Alex. And she said, if I ever have a son, I will call him Alex. 93 arrives, I pop out, I'm called Alex, which is quite cute. Cut to 18 years later, I'm auditioning for drama school and singing Love Changes Everything. I knew none of this at the time. I didn't know that it was one of my mum's favourite songs. She loved Michael Ball. She always kind of kept
you had your name.
And it was my namesake, right? So I sang that, got into drama school, which was lovely. Then 5 years after that, I make my West End debut in the Prince of Wales Theatre, where they saw Aspects of Love all those years previously. And she still had the programme. We found the ticket stubs. My mum was sat the exact seats, but the row behind that they sat in to watch Aspects of Love the first time she came to see me play Elder Price in the Book of Mormon.
Wow.
It's mental. Like the way that is some kind of way. Cut to, they've just done the new revival of Aspects of Love in town. I auditioned for that, sang Maria from West Side, got cut in the first round. So fuck you. Because that's meant to be the really nice end to a lovely story. And I got cut in the first round.
We're literally guys, first round. Like, come on,
please.
Occasionally that'll happen like nowadays when you're like, you know, there's so many reasons for it, but you're like, oh, the first round stings.
Do you know what? Absolutely. If you even like after the second round, they go, oh, you've sung and then you've danced, or you've danced and sung, and they've gone, okay, yeah, not right for us. But if it's just walk in, sing, leave, and then you hear nothing, after 10 years of doing it, thinking, well, I'm a level of good at this, going,
you're like, okay, surely I must be okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't terrible when I walked in.
And then obviously, rationally, we all know we're like, oh, it was nothing to do with that. You've walked in and they've gone, he doesn't look right. Or he's too tall. Or whatever it is for the track that we're up for. We get it. But it doesn't feel like that.
No, it definitely feels like I'm shit.
Yeah.
And why am I still doing this?
Was I Was I out of tune the whole time? Like what?
Was it what I wore? Should I have worn a jumper instead of a shirt? But
Was the mankini the wrong choice? Like that's
no, the mankini is never the wrong choice.
Yeah,
Exactly.
good.
Never.
Always correct.
That's why I'm wearing it today.
Oh, yeah, I can tell.
Anyone not watching this might hopefully is no picture.
I think they'll believe you.
It's plausible.
Yeah.
It's lime green.
Ooh, sexy. Brings out your eyes.
Full on Borat style. We'll take it. So then you went to Arts Ed, right?
I did, yeah. I was very lucky. I got into Arts Ed, Mountview and Lane. And so my old dance school in Lincoln was the Joanne Haylock School of Dance, and a very well-known musical theatre performer now, a guy called Dan Burton, went there and grew up doing dancing there, and he went off to Lane's as I kind of joined, and there was always that your dance school thing where you've got one boy, and he was the one boy, then I became the one boy. And he went off to Lane and then graduated, I think, at 19, and then has gone on to have this incredible career. So he was kind of a bit of a role model for me when I was a kid and a teenager growing up. And what he did was go to Lane. So I went, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I want to go to Lane. So that was my first drama school audition. I went and was lucky enough to be offered a place. So that was me kind of set. I thought, okay, great, I'll do that then. And I'd applied for all the other colleges, and I didn't think I was going to go to any of them because Lane was always the plan. So my Arts Ed audition, I think, was in like the November or something. And I was doing A-level history at the time, and I hadn't done the essay that was set to be in that day. So my get out of jail free card with my history lesson is that, oh, sorry, I've got to go to London. It's an audition thing. Oh, yeah, it's like a uni open day thing. Yeah. So I was excused from school to go down to London. And the only reason I actually turned up to that audition was because I hadn't done my homework. And that day changed my life. I walked into what felt like the set of Fame, having people tap dancing down corridors and singing in the foyer. Arts Ed's very different now because they've done a big refurb of the foyer. But what it used to be about 15 years ago, it's a good moisturiser. Thank you, Keels. It used to be really just a vibrant, awesome space, and the energy that would hit you the moment you would walk in the building. You had the Student Union bar just by the entrance that was like a cafe in the day and then became the bar at night. The foyer, you literally had people practicing their second year tap assessments, first year's going over song and dance. You'd go down the corridor past, I think it's room 10 on the ground floor, and you'd see a ballet lesson going on. You literally had walked into the set of Fame, and as a 17, 18-year-old, it was everything you'd ever dreamed of and everything you ever thought drama school was. And because I kind of had my place at Lane's in my back pocket, I went into that audition not really caring about the outcome, which is maybe the best lesson I wish I could tell myself even now, kind of 15 years later, still doing it, is when you don't care, you perform at your best. And don't care, that's very sloppy vocabulary for me. It's not don't care. It's when you take all the pressure off, is when you do your best work. And because there was no pressure on it, I think I'd sung some of the best I'd ever sung. And I danced really well. And I kind of felt like, oh yeah, this is an environment I could see myself here. And I think that was the first time that I maybe learnt to myself great grammar. That the plan is there is no plan, because the plan was always go to Lane and that's what I'm going to do. I got in, great, that's the plan. Arts Ed presented itself. I was lucky enough to be offered a place. And I'd never once considered it until I got there. I didn't know that was even an option for me and my kind of path until I got there. As in walked in the door on the audition day. And it changed my life. Not doing that history essay changed my life. And, you know, I'm sure we can move on to drama colleges as well, because there's a lot to talk about there. But I really... I was about to say I had a wonderful time there. I didn't. That would be a lie. And I'm telling you that was a lie.
That'd be a great lie at the end. I did not enjoy my drama school training. That was what I lied about.
But I also, like many people are coming out now with their stories of drama school, I didn't hate it. I was very much someone who was not a star of my year group, which absolutely is a thing. People don't think it is, but you have the stars of the year group, you have the people that, how the fuck did you get in? And then you have the middle. I was very much solidly the middle. And I didn't have a great time, but I also didn't have a terrible time. I was just kind of there, working hard, sleepwalking through it. But I came out with a sensational training. And it's only looking back now that I think, appreciate the training we had, and maybe some of the exercise and stuff we did there, what lessons that was teaching you. Because at the time, you don't know. You know, they're very formative years of your life, drama school. You're 18, 19, you've just moved to London you've often been the 1 or 2 stagey kids in your area, and now you're with loads of stagey kids all together, trying to work it out. And I think drama schools have so many issues. Especially, I actually now think probably now more than they have in recent history, because people are very handedly trying to make up for the sins of the past now. And I think a lot of that energy is right, but maybe just slightly misdirected in certain ways. But I'm very grateful for my time there and the training that I had there, and the springboard I kind of got from going there. And I owe a lot to some specific people from there that know that, and, you know, will always be a big part of my life. But, and I think this is where a lot of the buts come for people with drama schools, it's almost a really hard thing to articulate, because I feel like even now you're choosing your words very carefully. It's something I don't feel I'm able to completely talk freely about, either through fear of not being accused of lying, but saying, well, that's not how I remember it. That wasn't like that for me. No, I had a shit time. You're like, okay, well, just because you had a shit time didn't mean that I did. Then also, look, there were certain allegations that came out about Art Ed in the exact time I was there. And I did a tweet at the time saying, if you weren't there, you don't know. Half the time of the people that were there during that time still don't really know what they think about it, or think about what did or didn't go on. And this all happened at very formative years of your life, like I was saying earlier. So maybe instead of doing your hot take on Twitter of what you think it is, maybe just take a step back and let these people that are having to bring up lots of thoughts and memories and feelings that they'd either suppressed or thought they dealt with, but now they're being dragged through the mud again. Like, maybe, if you weren't there, you don't know. So essentially, back the fuck off. And I was then accused of sounding like I was almost a member of a cult that was aggressively protecting their cult leader and things like that. You've been brainwashed into. I was like, no, I haven't. I was actually just trying to handle the issue with a little bit of sensitivity. And I think, again, that was one of my first big lessons in, I don't really write anything on social media much anymore, because there's always going to be someone that misconstrues it or knows that that's not the spirit of your words, but they've decided that because their hot take is this, I'm going to take it out of context and twist it a little bit. But yeah, I still to this day don't really know what I think about all of that side of it. And I please forgive me for being slightly maybe cryptic in my language, because I don't really, there's only so much I feel I can say and articulate, but I think everyone remembers it how they need to. The famous line from Jersey Boys. And stagey.
That was impressively stagey.
It was.
You're welcome, dear. But yeah, I didn't have a terrible time. I also didn't have a fantastic time. I'm probably definitely still working through some things now, as I'd like to think an adult, not a grown-up, but an adult, that happened back then. But also, I'm very grateful and appreciative of the expertise they gave me at the time they gave me it. Yeah.
I think that's the common thread that we get right. Even my personal experience, I describe similarly. Like, most people come on, could go either I had a great time or a bad time. Either that's not really relevant. What's always the common theme is they tend to say, I learnt loads, and there were definitely problems.
And learning is hard. Learning stuff that you're not good at is difficult. Like, growth is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If it's easy, then you're not growing. And I think I watched a lot of people at my college. Some of them were like the stars of the year group. that kind of came with lots of talent, were told they were amazing, so never really improved, got all the leads in the final year productions, and then haven't really had careers as such. They've done one or two jobs, but, I went to drama school because I intend for this to be my career for 30, 40 years, not to do a couple of shows and go, oh, that was lovely. And I think in general now, training has changed so much. Well, first of all, this is where I might get cancelled, but here we go. I think a lot of drama schools are now just run as businesses rather than as training institutions, and they are selling a dream. They're selling, come here, we'll make you a star. I saw one drama school the other day putting out saying the average actor earns, I think it's £350,000 a year. This could be you too.
And somebody has factored in The Rock's earning into that average.
Literally that.
You're like, no, what's the mean?
Come on now.
And then something about our screenwriters often earn this kind of money when their projects get commissioned. And you go, you are attracting people to your business under completely false pretenses. But
I don't know anyone.
Right? It's mental.
Between us, we've been doing this for about 45 years. Yeah. That's just since 18 as well.
It's crazy that, and as much as many colleges aren't being as overt as that, I do think that is they're monopolize or trying to monopolize people's dreams and financially kind of take advantage of that. And when I went to college, I think college was a lot of money. I was lucky enough to be on, a Dada, that now the Dada scheme doesn't exist anymore. If that didn't exist, a working class lad from Grimsby would not have been able to go to Arts Ed. But when they got rid of those, and then the fees, I think were about 9 or 10 grand when I went, up to like 18, 19, 20 grand a year, some of these places now. That you go, I understand they're expensive to run, especially if you've got these new buildings, and like teaching staff are expensive, but 20 grand a year, and you see some places that have 100 to 120 students per year group. How can you effectively train that many people and give each student the attention and specific work they need? You guys know it with clients. You couldn't personally train 50 people all at once. It's a one-on-one situation. That person's form is bad on their squat. That person needs to lift lighter than they're pushing themselves too much with weights and things. Is that the same with dance training and singing training? And I'm just moaning about this because I offer no solutions other than just saying I think it's a bit of a sad state of the world or of the training side of our kind of performing arts world, that there are some people that are just looking to take advantage of and not actually set people up to have a career. And I was teaching at a place and got into a bit of a tiff with the head of the course because I kind of argued we're not fully equipping these students with the stuff they need to know. Said, yes, but it's for their degree. Said, right, so are we providing them a 3-year vocational training in order for them to enter the professional industry and work and sustain a career and have the skills they require to do that? Or are we providing them with a piece of paper from an accredited university saying you have a degree in musical theatre? Well, it's both. I was like, well, at the moment we're doing neither. So either pick one. Are we giving them an entirely useless piece of paper that says you've got a degree in musical theatre? Well done. But since when is ever having a degree in musical theatre got you a job in any show? You don't walk and say, right, here's my 2-1 from Arts Ed.
Well, here's the madness, right? And this is where I think the overarching point that you're making comes in. That piece of paper has never got anyone a job in music theatre.
Right.
Yes.
But the fact that it's a degree is a helpful fail-safe for all of those people in that training regime who will not get a job in music theatre, and it's something to show for their time and effort. And then you're like, but what is the purpose of this? Why does this exist? Are we training people so they have a great time for 3 years to then switch and do something else? Or are we training people to be in this profession?
And which is also a perfectly acceptable thing to do.
Yep.
But make that your marketing angle then. Say, come and do your degree with us at university. If you're selling it to me as this is your training and this is what's going to make you a star kid for 60 grand, but it's not actually doing that. It's trying to make something that is mainly purely vocational, academic. And for me, when I did my degree, there was no written work. There was one. I know that's a lie. God, I tell lies. There was like a project journal at the end of one of your third year shows where you talked about, oh, this is the research I did. This is the how I found rehearsals. This is how I found the performances. And if I were to do the project again, these are the things I would try and do differently next time. And it was about maybe 5,000-6,000 words, I think. And then you handed it in. That was the only bit of assessed written work I ever did for my entire degree. Everything else was vocational. Now, people are writing essays and dissertations on stuff that I go, how is that useful to you? Knowledge without knowing how to apply it is kind of what's the point?
Yeah.
Like I
have
can
this all the time actually when I'm teaching. They're going, okay, well, you know when Stanislavski was born and in which city, but
if you can't give me objective obstacle action, then how to use it?
Exactly.
And
also,
what's the point?
Telling me about it doesn't help. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, you have to be able to do it, or go and be a scholar or a critic or something about it. Like, it doesn't help. Knowing it is only useful if you can apply it, right? So you're
100%.
like, this is such an annoying, frequent thing.
But you have articulated that far better than I did in my 5-minute ramble.
No.
Bobby knows this from sharing a dressing with me for 6 months. I am I was once described as very intensely laid back. So I will get on like a subject for 5 minutes and I will rant and I will talk, then realize I actually don't really care about it that much. But I'm very passionate. And then I'm really like, but it doesn't matter. I think it's a typical Pisces thing. And I'm not even a star sign person, but apparently it's a water sign thing. That's what Carolina, one of our wiggies on Time Travelers, said to me. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
We can dive into that, but I want to skip on to something else because just look up on Instagram, Adam Grant, the psychologist, he speaks about star signs. And it's
really?
It's fascinating because he speaks so well. And I'm a big fan of his. And he speaks about how star signs are a load of crap and then goes into explain very clearly as to why.
Fantastic.
In a way that I couldn't articulate now
Love
because
it.
people are so, people tie their identity to these things.
Massive. And get very offended when you...
Hugely offended.
Like, and I'm also a very live and let live person.
100%.
And if you want to charge your crystals with moonlight, if that makes you feel better, knock yourself out. Who am I to tell you that that's something that I wouldn't choose to do? And I also think the performing arts industry as a whole and the world would be better if we all adopted that kind of principle.
Not the crystals, but yeah.
No.
There's not enough crystal in the world. Yeah?
We need more crystal.
But so to jump on, then we're looking at, since then, a sort of huge career since that 2014 graduation point. We're looking at whole things. Obviously, one of them stands out. Well, actually, there's two. There was a very, very long stint in...
You're reading my spotlight right now?
Not right now.
Not right now, no.
That's been done. The research is done. But Mormon, obviously.
Yeah, man. Mormon was... But it's my first West End show, and I was 22 years old. And it was one of those weird ones that came along. I'd never really thought I was right for Book of Mormon. I saw it when it first... I listened to it when the soundtrack first came out, when we were still at college, and it was on Broadway. And I saw it when it first opened over here, and thought it was amazing, but never once thought I'd be right for that show.
That's insane to me because it feels so obvious.
Yeah,
Now I was like, how did I never see that? And I auditioned and was cast as a swing and second cover Elder Price for my first year, and then I think it was 4 performances as a second cover in my first year of Price. And the best thing I think that happened to me at that stage in my career was being given the job as a swing. Pardon me. I don't think I would be the performer and the person I am today if I hadn't have had that experience. I think it teaches you so much about how you, and I say this in exactly I mean this in with all, I'm being lazy with my words. You are one tiny cog of a massive wheel. So everything you do affects that. For example, let's talk the time of calling off a show in the morning. If you're cut off for a matinee at 11 or 3 for an evening show to call in, it's not just you and your understudy that's going on that affects that. it's wigs, it's wardrobe, it's sound, it's video, it's automation, it's everyone. And that system is in place for a reason. So when people start to not abide by it or get lax on it, it has such a massive knock-on effect. And I in my first year, had a couple of my covers that would go off quite regularly during the show or like at warm-up. And because that affected me, I also then saw how it affected everyone else. And not affected me like negatively, just saw the mad run around during the half of people getting ready. And of course, your whole day, I mean, I'll probably move on to talk about this later on with covering, but your whole day becomes based around if you're on or not that night, what you eat, going to the gym, what time you train, how heavy you go, depending on if you've got to lift people at night or be, functioning at night. So and then also the great thing about being a swing, the days where you go, I can't be asked today. The last thing I want to do is go and do that show. Oh, great. I'm not on. I'm being paid to sit upstairs and do nothing. Fucking great. Like, this is brilliant. And I was lucky to be in a room with, like, everyone was a fair bit older than me. So kind of watching and learning from their experience. Like, I shared a dressing room that year with lovely Ollie Ormson, who's now playing Hans in Frozen. And it's nice, especially from that first intake of the year I joined Mormon, there were so many people. That cast was stacked. But of people that were kind of all on their way up together as swings, as ensemble, as second covers, that were, pardon me, that were really just hard-working, caring, kind people. And I think the biggest thing of being a swing, the lesson it taught me, is having an awareness of everything that's happening on the stage, not just what you're doing on the stage. Because I don't know about you, Bobs, and you've swung. I learn the pattern rather than the position, or rather than, I go to the left. No, I use my outstage arm or right stage arm, because it's, outstage or in-stage arm. As soon as you're on the other side of the stage and you have to reverse it, saying, right arm, no, shit, left arm, that's useless to you. So learning a way of how to instantly reverse things, so you have an awareness of what's happening on other sides of the stage. And even like technically, that cloth's coming in, that automation thing's going out. Normally, you only see what happens in your own track if you only have one track, or if you're an understudy, you might have your own track and your cover track. When you're a swing, you have an awareness of every single fucking person's track. And with that, I think, came a really lovely sense of teamwork. Theatre is a team sport. And Bobby will know this, I get very fucked off when people aren't being team players, because it takes a village, and not just that, 10, 20, 30 people on the stage. When there's no apparent respect for everyone else that's going around in every department, stage management man work their arses off, and I feel like they never get enough recognition. And being a swing is a thing that taught me to not say the one thing that drives me insane when people say it is, oh yeah, I was thrown on last night. I was thrown on for my second cover last night. No, you weren't thrown on. You've had rehearsal. Saying that is so disrespectful to so many people, to your resident teams, to your dance captains, to your stage management, to your wardrobe department that have made sure you've got your costumes ready. You weren't thrown on. You had to go on. The production required you to go on and perform. You weren't thrown on, because that is so disrespectful to everyone else's work. You might have felt like you were thrown on, but that's a you thing, not a them thing. Have some respect for the time and the effort and the work that they put into doing their jobs so that you can excel in yours. It's a very long-winded way.
Unless you're actually thrown on before you've had rehearsal or in someone else's costume. Or
Which has definitely
happened a lot.
Yeah.
But also
Many
then when
times.
that happens, going, okay, I'm the one that has to do it, so this is my shit to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make it work. We'll have the conversation about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But right now in this moment, get through it, and then we can talk about it tomorrow. But when people are kicking off in that specific moment, you go, this is not the time.
That's
and
not
I think
helpful,
and also swings are not like the literal Mickey taken out of them, but sometimes the amount of things you're expected to do where you're double and triple tracking, and you'll have one person that kind of kicks off because, they missed that line, or they were standing in the wrong place. Like, I'm sorry, that person is remembering 3 people's jobs, trying to not get hit with the set, trying to make sure they're going off the right side of stage to make sure they're getting their costume changed and their shoes are in the right place.
Tracks. That's the other thing that happens all the time.
Quite
right?
often you're just trying to get through it alive.
Yeah, or
That's
doing
it.
a track that you don't cover.
to keep
Many times.
to keep the curtain up,
Yeah.
and then have an audience not even know that was a thing I got from being a swing, was you don't know what I've just pulled out my arse, or what that entire swing team doing that cut show have pulled out their asses there. And that's the kit. Like, it's almost like the magic trick. You don't see the dirty work of the magic trick.
Yeah.
You just see the finished product.
It's like a duck swimming in it. That's the aim.
Yeah.
You never see the effort. So jumping back to price, just quickly, like that is obviously such a mammoth
Yeah,
role.
it's not easy.
to be somebody who goes, oh, I never used to sing, to then taking on one of the hardest male vocals that there is in the West End, in my opinion. Anyway, at least at the time when it opened.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Like, maybe there's one or two now that might be up there with it, but realistically, that is persistently right at the top of the range, constantly up there in a bunch
horrible.
of songs, and the energy level required is nuts the whole way through the show. Like, it's relentless. It never ends. How on earth did you? Because you went on to play it like over 200 times, right?
Yeah,
So, like,
it's a lot.
Did you ever manage to feel like you got into the swing of that? And what did you do to support that?
I think by the end, I got into the swing of it. It's one of those that you're right. It's a vocal beast, but the part, I would argue, the least important thing about it is the singing. You've got to buy the character first, and maybe that's again coming back to my thing. I always approach things as an actor more than anything else. It's one of those parts that's a massive sing, but if you walk away from Mormon thinking, God, Elder Price had a great voice, you've done it wrong, because the songs are not singer-friendly. Not many people sound good singing those songs, because they're also not written that way. They're very lyric-heavy, and they're very comedy-driven. So whilst you're working your arse off, like using the duck swimming analogy, to sound a certain way and sing consistent evals on top G's and A flat with no vibrato in a piggy forward placement.
Mostly, nope. No.
Oh, I've got a clip of that one. I think I'll send Bobby that.
yeah, you told me. Yeah.
I'll finish my initial point and then come back onto that. But, you know, the way they require you to sing it and all of that is the thing that should then come to look easy, because whilst you're singing, I believe, it's a very funny song. The lyrics are so important, and everything that Matt and Trey wrote for that is completely true in the Mormon faith. So there's nothing there. We're just saying this to kind of, take the mick. Everything you're saying in that song is what Mormons believe, and what Kevin Price believed in that moment. This is his calling card. So if we're watching you trying to sing really good, we're not listening to the content of the song. But then you get to the end of I Believe, and you're not done for the show, but that's the moment you can go, oh, okay, I've only got one more bit of really big singing to do, and that's right at the end in a big, ensemble number. So if I crack, people might not hear it as much. But until that point, you are so exposed. And especially Act 1, I was having a chat with an old friend who was in Elder Cunningham literally 2 days ago, who's still doing it on Broadway now. And Act 1, Price is the driver of the train and Cunningham is the passenger. It's only when Act 2 starts that switches and Cunningham becomes the driver and Price becomes the passenger. But Cunningham's always say they get the advantage of having Act 1 to warm up.
Yeah.
Price, you walk forward and you hit that first ding-dong, smile, and that train does not fucking stop. And it's one of those that if you don't have it, it's a slog of a show. Talking of days where you don't have it. There's a, everyone and his wife has a dictaphone these days, and every single show is being recorded and shoved on YouTube, which that's another conversation topic. But there was one towards the end of my time there, actually, we had like 3 9-show weeks back to back. And I was on for, I think, most of them, because Dom, who was playing Price at the time, is playing Christian now in Moulin Rouge. He tore his meniscus in his knee, so he was off, and that was quite a significant injury to be recovering from. And that happened smack bang in the middle of said hellish Christmas schedule where you're doing 3 9-show weeks back to back. And I think it was the day before New Year's Eve on I think like the 3rd matinee day in a row. And I say we get to the end of that song, and I know it's not there. I know my voice isn't shot, but you go, "Oh, this is tired. This is hard work today." And you've already done the high bit in the middle of the song. You're jumping around. It's high energy, and it's constantly shoulders back, a really unnatural singing position, shoulders back, butt cheeks clenched together to be this upright, heroic kind of stance that they want. And I look at John Michael Finley, who was playing Cunning at the time, and he kind of heard in my voice that it was like, "Oh, that's it." And he looked at me with that cheeky look of, "Go on then. Let's see, shall we?" And we had, "There's no limit to what we can do, me and you, but mostly me." And when I say that is a very long bit of music at the end of that song, that you then just have to sustain moving your hand to with no sound coming out, where you have just absolutely fucked it in front of 1,500 people.
It is long.
It is long.
End of that.
It's like the old "Don't Rain on My Parade." It's. But
I want to hear that recording, just so you know.
No, that one I do have, and I will send you. I'll look for the pharaoh with the goatee, but I definitely have, but mostly me dying on my arse.
I love it.
Those kind of things, you have to kind of laugh at yourself.
Because how many shows have you done without doing that?
And
it's
especially
fine.
if that's the one that's then recorded and put out there for everyone to scrutinise forevermore on YouTube, which I am not the biggest fan of, but people are really anti it. It's like, well, they're going to do it regardless now. It's impossible to police. So I think we kind of have to make our peace with it. The anxiety that puts performers under in those high pressure roles, like Elder Price, like Elphaba, like Valjean, like you could name all of them. It's shit and it sucks. But I think we as performers have to learn to laugh at ourselves when things go wrong, and especially when you crack, because it's funny. Oh my God, some of them are hilariously funny. I love it. I definitely had one in Time Travel as well. There was one that was like, "Oh, that's not that. No." Oh.
I've done many. You've bared witness
Many
to me doing
Scooby.
a fantastic crack.
It wasn't as bad as you felt it was.
No, but it was one of those that lives long in my memory and will forever will.
Oh, please
Because
recreate.
you actually hit the note.
Yeah, and then I just went wildly, just full Scooby.
But I think in your head, this is what happens, right? In your head, that lasted a while.
Yeah.
And even speaking to you afterwards, because you don't really want to correct someone when you're going through that. It was. I don't.
Oh yeah, it's only a split second because actually that gap, because everybody else dropped out and it was just me singing the A.
It's exposing it.
It's so exposing. And then, luckily, it's a comedy song, so you can get away with it. But I mean, it didn't help. John Rigby absolutely pissing himself in the from the conductor's spot.
But there is that.
Yeah, there is that. So, is there anything about the industry or fitness or wellness or anything at all that you would like to see get in the bin?
Oh, where do I start?
Oh,
Where do I start?
Hold on, we'll rack these up.
Okay. Oh my God, there's so many, and now I can't even just pick one. I'll start right.
Rattle them off.
I'll start with fitness. Skinny meaning good, and people doing which what's right for one person may not be right for you, but people doing the kind of going down to 15 or lower % body fat to do a photo shoot that's completely unsustainable, or well, not even 50% lower than that for some people, to a photo shoot where you look amazing but it's not overly healthy. You're not drinking water for how many days to try and get the look and all that. I go, that's just personally not for me. And I know it's kind of a bit of a trend at the moment for people to do that. My big one is men taking their tops off on stage is a thing, and I don't think we talk about it enough, because the moment a lad takes his top off, no matter what kind of body you're seeing, the first time you see it is an audience, you're looking, so you're like, oh, what they got, what are the goods, and the pressure to look like an Abercrombie model is a thing. And if you don't, no matter how good a shape you are in or not, that's a thing. And I use time travel as an example. That's the first time I've ever gone topless on stage. Every time Henry time traveled, he was essentially naked when he arrived. And you spend a lot of the time running around with either just a pair of shorts on or a pair of trousers on. There are times when you're essentially pretty much naked. It leaves very little to the imagination. And I actually didn't know that was something that was part of the job until I got into a costume fitting and went, oh, right, that's me just having a grenade bar for lunch every day then. But with that, I kind of started working out more, mainly because I had a bit more routine as well. I'd just come off the back of doing a production of Hairspray. So I'd lost a little bit of weight doing You Can't Stop the Beat 9 shows a week in a field. And I kind of wanted to continue with that. And the first time I was doing it for a lot of the time, every single performance actually I went on for Henry, and the first time we were taking your clothes off, every single day felt like a bit of a mental hurdle to get over. Right, once we've done it, once we've seen that I don't look like, Adonis, I'm also not in bad shape. But it's an awkward thing that I don't know where this pressure kind of comes from. Well, actually, I do. We'll take it back to drama schools. We were told as lads, the first thing they're looking at when you walk in the room is the size of your pecs and your arms. So get to the gym and make sure your pecs and your arms look good. And even now...
Dear God.
It's pretty much what I was told. Yep.
It's the thing. There was a gym on site, Art said, that you had to go to twice a week, and you had gym lessons, and they would check your attendance and things, which is very much part of, the college's brand at the time. The other thing that I have to kind of factor into that is I'm a type 1 diabetic, which is a whole kind of thing to talk about. But on the whole fitness front and then taking your shirt off front, I'm injecting a lot of insulin into my body every day. Now, I don't need to tell you guys what insulin does to body fat percentages and energy levels and all of that. And that's in a perfectly functioning normal body where the pancreas does it all normally and is just because of diet and what people have eaten, maybe sleeping patterns. When I'm having to take a hell of a lot of this hormone just to stay alive every day, that means I am never going to be shredded body type. Which for me is a thing maybe I would like to be, but is it the only thing I would like to be because I can't do it? So therefore you always want what you can't have. So with kind of time travelers, that was a real mental thing for me that I'm actually glad I did it, and kind of, I didn't get over it, and I don't think I will ever get over it, but I got a lot more confident with it. Because again, you had no choice. You had to. That's what you were doing in the shows. You just kind of had to get on with it and do it. There was no time for, actually, I don't feel comfortable with this.
It's not the day for me today. Let's plow on, because I've got an idea on our liar.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Do you have, so without changing your facial expression, that's the calm. We're not going to look at you. We're going to guess whether you have lied, and if so, what we think it is. I have a guess. Do you?
I do have a guess, yes.
It's going to be the same as mine.
Probably.
Tell me.
The Joseph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That the MD didn't sing.
Yes, I think that's the lie.
Okay, we're going to guess that the MD did not sing the lines for you when you did Joseph at that time. Tell us, did you manage to successfully lie?
Yes.
And what was it?
That is true.
Oh, we suck. Oh, God. What was it?
That is something that did happen.
You've always been able to sing.
No, I wish it would take me a lot harder. No, the one is that my mum didn't sit two rows away from where I watched. As I was like,
you sold that well.
Yeah,
she was. They were very, very close, but it wasn't the row behind. But no. That's what's even funny, is that the Pharaoh thing is 100% true. That's what makes the story better.
Included.
Even better. I do want the video still.
Yeah. Right, it's time for another game. You can play a game of this or that. So 1 minute on the clock. Our best time so far is 43 seconds, I believe.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and beat that.
I'm really good at doing short answers to things by now. You ask me a very basic question and I just ramble on.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Eggs or bacon?
Bacon.
White bread or brown bread?
Brown.
The US office or Friends?
Friends.
Cardio or resistance training?
Resistance.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's.
Singing or acting?
Acting.
Dark chocolate Maltesers or M&M's?
Dark chocolate Maltesers.
Yoga or Pilates?
Yoga.
Family Guy or Love Island?
Family Guy.
Domino's Pizza or Papa John's?
Domino's. Papa John's.
Sport or dance?
Sport.
Alcohol or chocolate?
Alcohol.
Matching socks or mismatching socks?
Matching socks.
Coca-Cola or Pepsi?
Coke.
Link Larkin or Jay Osmond?
Osmond.
Game of Thrones or Glee?
Game of Thrones.
Books or Kindle?
Books.
Clean shaven or beard?
Bit of stubble in the middle.
Personal chef or personal stylist?
Personal chef.
Opening night or press night?
Opening night.
Sexy or smart?
Smart.
Shower or bath?
Shower.
Baseball or musicals?
Baseball.
Dogs or babies?
Dogs.
Snakes or badgers?
Snakes.
Theme park or water park?
Park.
Running or walking?
Running.
Director or choreographer?
Director.
Bobby or Steffan?
Bobby.
Great choice. 1 minute. 1 minute, bang on the money.
It's
That was
because you said
rapid.
Bobby first. That's why people say
Go with it.
Bobby.
That's
Bobby.
why.
Oh, yeah.
Is
Let
it
me
Steffan
change
or
that
Bobby?
over.
You
Let me
put
change
Steffan
that
in
over.
my
You
brain
changed
first.
that over, Stefan. Go on.
Yeah, that's not why.
Oh, I enjoyed that.
That was intense. That got wild.
There were some cracking answers in there.
Like,
we were
the panic
excited.
when you said Domino's instead of Papa John's was wild.
Because Papa John's have the special garlic
Oh,
dip
their
thing.
garlic dip is outrageous.
This obsession with this garlic dip,
God,
right? That
it's
garlic
so
dip
good.
sucks. So
No, you're
Are
wrong.
we going to fall out over this? Is
Yeah,
this going
look.
to be the thing that you and I fall out over?
look, you said I've had this dip with you, right? And I'm like, it thinks it's garlic butter, but it's not garlic butter.
It's better than
It's
garlic
way better
butter.
than
You're wrong.
so
I want
good.
garlic butter and Domino's dip.
No, Domino's dip's poor.
No, Domino's dip is elite,
Poor.
but special garlic dip from Papa. They're providing different things.
Yeah. I will say Domino's is a better pizza than Papa John's. The dip is better from Papa John's.
No arguments for me on the pizza. But anyway.
Anyway, that's a whole separate
Thank you
podcast.
so much for coming to join us, Alex. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man.
By the time this airs, you will have done your solo concert in Crazy Cox. That's the only reason we haven't mentioned it.
Oh, right.
This will be out
Oh, Jesus.
afterwards. So hopefully by that point, it'll be fantastically successful and it would have gone fantastically. And by now, you'll be in Kiss Me Kate, so people should go and see you.
Absolutely. Go watch.
Yeah, at the Barbican. Come along. It should be fun.
Yeah.
Like running around giving it fake Shakespeare to Cole Porter. What's not to love?
Shakespeare. We'll take it. And, sounds great. And thank you at home or wherever you might be for listening.
Yeah, and if you've enjoyed this episode, click those like and subscribe buttons. Find us on Instagram at Fit2Perform West End. As always, if you've got any questions you want answered, slip slide into my DMs. I'm going to be in there eating Papa John's garlic sauce.
Just the sauce.
Just the sauce.
Thanks again for listening. If you like what you've heard, we have been Fit to Talk with our wonderful guest, Alex Lodge, and your hosts, me, Steffan.
And me, Bobby. And if you didn't like it, we've been Joe Wicks. Peace out.